Hello everyone. Today we started a little bit late. We had some issues, technical difficulties at our end. So today with us, there is Sanjay, there is Yash, and there is me, and we have Carlos and a very special guest, Athena. Athena is a little bit busy right now, but anyway, um, so I know Carlos for almost 2 years right now, and we had like very good conversation. Officially, like Carlos is a attorney lawyer, and we are keeping this stream so that we can know more about Carlos. We can actually here on X, we are on X, on YouTube, on through these streams we are trying to form a family. So Carlos, welcome to our family, and over to you, Carlos.
Thanks for the introduction. I'm coming live from Falls Church, Virginia. And I do want to make a correction. I'm an engineer first and an attorney second. And that's because I was a practicing engineer for about a decade before I went to law school. In the United States, you have to have a technical degree and a law degree to be a patent attorney. So I started going to law school when I was 35, when I left Hughes Aircraft Company after working on some projects there. But I'm a veteran inventor, electrical engineer, patent attorney, and entrepreneur. And for a living, I do patent law. So I help people protect their inventions. Let me know if you have any questions or if you need any more background from me.
We will definitely need more because that is our motto on the streams. When we introduce, like when we invite someone, when we were the initial ones, we basically is try to squeeze out the other person mind. So
You, you want me to
since
start from birth or I'm kidding.
well, it's non-biologically like. We would like we are eager to learn through these streams. We try to learn something, and we also want our audience to learn. So like you
And I
mentioned
make
that you are.
every once in a while when she's misbehaving. Sorry about that.
Oh, no,
Athena,
no, no, no.
Oh,
She
that
is
is
perfectly
really
behaving.
cute. It's awesome.
Mm,
Let her be
maybe
comfortable.
she needs attention. You are not
She is
giving
I
the
her
just
attention.
I just took her for a 3 mile walk and then she ran around the yard for another mile and she still wants to play. So she's got a lot of energy. But my background, I'm originally from Quito, Ecuador. And for people that are geographically challenged, Ecuador is on the west coast of South America where the equator meets the coast. So that's Ecuador. And I'm from Quito and I was born at 12,500 feet above sea level. So it's
oh.
one of the highest cities on planet Earth. And I always, one of the sayings that I have is that life prepares you for life. And that's been
Mhm,
a reoccurring theme in my life. I was born at high altitude. I
mhm,
was 8 months or 10 months old. I was in a Jeep that rolled down the side of a mountain, and two people were killed. My father was crippled for life.
mhm,
I was in a body cast. My
mhm,
brother had a fractured skull, and I think my mom had a fractured knee. And that was the beginning of my journey of pain. So
mhm,
I've had many broken bones, broken arms, broken ribs, broken jaws, dislocated knees, and I think that little trip down the side of the mountain prepared me for all the pain that I would eventually feel.
mhm,
When I turned 17, I volunteered for the military and I went into the Air Force and I went into
mhm,
special operations, pararescue, which are combat paramedics.
mhm,
And some more pain came, because I don't know if you guys know about special operations, but it's all about pain. It's about seeing how far they can push you past your
mhm,
breaking point, and then they want to
mhm,
see that you keep going even after you want to quit. And a lot of the training included drowning,
mhm,
lots of breath holding and things like that to prepare for scuba school. And my high altitude birth I think gave me
Mhm.
a huge advantage over the other mammals because I think when you're born at altitude, like at around 12,500 feet, it causes adaptations in your biology. You're able
Mhm.
to use oxygen more efficiently than other people. So, me, the drowning was probably less painful than the mammals
Mhm.
that were born at sea level.
Mhm.
After the military, I decided to become an electrical engineer. I got my
Mhm.
bachelor's degree from Cal Poly Pomona in California. I got my master's from Cal State Long Beach in
Mhm.
signal processing neural networks. And then I went off to work at General Dynamics on missiles. Then I went to Hughes Aircraft and worked on fighter aircraft, F-15, F-18, the B-2. I was on the design team for the Advanced Tactical Fighter, the YF-22 Raptor. I helped design the flight computer. I designed the user interface and the clock distribution modules for the Common Integrated Processor. And then I went off to R&D to the Advanced Circuit Technology Group, where I
Mhm.
built the first working software-defined radio and
Mhm.
didn't even know it. That I didn't even know I was building the first software-defined radio, but now it's the standard for communications, whether it's satellite or whatever. In
Mhm.
'94, Hughes laid off half the company, and that's when I went to law school in '94. I got my
Mhm.
degree in law, and then I've been a patent attorney since I started my own firm in 2010, and now that's what I do for a living is patent attorney. But I also have my own inventions and my own, my other, I call them my passion projects. So I have
Mhm.
my work, which is helping startups and small inventors protect their innovations, and then my passion projects are saving the world. So that's, I think, pretty much my entire history at a very general detail level.
It's actually a very cool history, Carlos. Like I have known Carlos for a very long time, but even I didn't had that much idea about him. But okay, when it comes to like you said that you are an engineer first before a lawyer. So, okay, Carlos is sharing his screen. I will put that here. Yep. So, by the way, guys, whoever is watching right now, this is Carlos, your Facebook page, and
Yeah.
on this, I believe on the same name there is a YouTube channel.
That's correct. Yes, this is when I went down my road of inventing, and I started building greenhouses that grow fish, plants, and mushrooms. All
Mhm.
the pictures you see here are actual pictures from my greenhouse. And I also have a YouTube channel called OU812 Aquaponics on YouTube and Facebook.
Mhm.
And, as I said, I'm a real engineer. I don't want to disrespect lawyers because I'm also a lawyer. But engineering is my passion. Being a patent attorney is what pays the bills. I do enjoy my work as a patent attorney. I don't want people to think that I don't enjoy being a patent attorney. But if I had to choose between law and engineering, it's an easy choice for me. I'm an engineer. So I started experimenting in aquaponics back in, I think it was December of 2012. And
Wow.
I built my first system by March of 2013. And I started patenting various components of the system, being a patent attorney. I practice what I preach. So
Mhm.
everything you see here has been patented. And
Yeah, it's been like 12, like 12 years. You have,
yep.
yeah, you have been doing it 12 and 13 years. So like, how's the progress been in the days? Like, give us a dive deep. What happened in the last 13 years with your project? It sounds very novel, like growing mushrooms and you know, building greenhouses to create fish plants. So like, you are doing this, so you are making an impact somewhere. Like, what is like meaning behind it?
With me it was just boredom. I'm an engineer, and being a patent attorney, everything we do is on paper. You know, but I like hardware. I used to build hardware. I used to work with hardware. And as an engineer, unless you can touch it, feel it, and hold it, it has zero value. So as an electrical engineer doing patent work and just doing paperwork, patents or papers, basically, I wasn't able to touch, feel, and hold the technology, and I was looking for projects. I stumbled across infographic about aquaponics. Aquaponics is where the fish water gets fed to the plants, and the plants clean the water for the fish, and then it creates a closed loop system where the plants benefit from the fish and the fish benefit from the plants. And when I saw that first infographic, I was like, I want to build this. This is really cool. And I'm not a biologist. Okay. And as an engineer, I always like to push my knowledge, specifically in areas that aren't within my field of expertise. And biology, I've taken biology, obviously, because you have to as an engineer, but I'm not a biologist. So I went and started building these greenhouses pretty much as a project. And as I started building these greenhouses, I started solving problems. And, an invention is a novel solution to a problem. So the system that you're looking at right here is a fully air-powered aquaponics system. It runs completely from air. And pretty much everything in here has been patented. I patented the concept of the fully air-powered system where the grow beds are connected to the fish pond. I patented this filter right here that keeps the water clean for the fish, irrespective of whether you're growing plants or not. So pretty much everything that you see in my YouTube channels and in my Facebook channels has been patented. And everything I do, by the way, is free for personal and educational use. The reason that I protect it is because I don't want the corporations to take it without fairly compensating me for my inventions. So, to teach you guys a little patent law, when you put things out there to the public, you're open sourcing it. You're saying anybody can use it, including the corporations. I choose to protect my innovations because I want to choose who gets to use my innovations. In other words, I have no problem if Harsh wants to build one of my greenhouses in his backyard to feed his family. I will help him. I will teach him. Now, if Harsh wants to create it and start making money from it and sell versions of the greenhouse, hey, let's form a joint venture and let's make some money together. And that's the whole point of the patent protection, is to give me the ability to create commercial, to monetize my brain, which actually leads to the bigger invention. This invention is. Go ahead.
What are the key benefits looks like of this invention? Like from the 1,000 foot away, it looks really cool, but I'm really curious, like what are the key benefits in terms of environment, personal
Yeah.
benefits, or social benefits? Like what are the benefits that this system have in general?
No, that's a great question. And one of the things, there's a few technologies here that are involved. There's passive solar design, also known as net zero. So that's one aspect of the invention. Another aspect of the invention, and I'm opening up a published patent application. Like I said, everything I discuss is protected, and I encourage people, to think about when you're talking to people, third parties, and you haven't protected yourself, just remember you're giving it away. And I have no problem with people giving away their knowledge, but I want to choose who I give away my knowledge to. So this is the latest patent application that's just getting granted. I just got the notice of allowance on this case. And this is an N-way redundant air-powered aquaponics system where each grow bed runs from its own solar panel. And the novelty of this is that you can knock out 4 of the grow beds or 5 of the grow beds and the system's still going to survive. And if you guys are engineers, you know about redundancy, right? Each each module is powered by its own solar panel. Each solar panel runs an air pump for the grow bed. So what that means is, what's the probability of all the solar panels? How many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You know, what's the probability of all 8 solar panels, all 8 air pumps, all going out at once? There's math for that, and I think Harsh could probably do the math to determine that. But as n goes to infinity, the probability of failure goes to 0. So this is n equals 8. And what that means is that, you know, everything is never going to fail at once, which means I only have to have one solar panel and one air pump at hand, so that when one of these components fails, I just swap it out and I order another solar panel and another air pump. And that's the idea of redundancy. This patent is getting granted. We just got the notice of allowance, which means it's going to become a patent as soon as I pay the issue fee on it. What's interesting about my applications, it's a history of my entire invention process. So when you go through my drawings, you're actually seeing a history of what I designed from the very beginning. And this is what's in my backyard, that greenhouse that I showed you earlier. And what's novel about it is the fact that it's a passive solar design, and that it's a fully air-powered, N-way redundant aquaponic system. So that's what was patentable about this invention. And I've got a patent in the United States covering that concept. Of course, for a patent application, you have to fully describe it, and you do that with the drawing. So now that gives you the glazing angle. This angle here is actually set up for, this is actually my angle. This is for Washington, D.C. And that's because the angle of the glazing is a function of your latitude, because you want to maximize winter sunlight. So you want this glazing angle to be at a 90-degree angle with your winter solstice sun. So that's how this greenhouse is designed, is to maximize winter sunlight, which of course winter's here in Falls Church. And you don't need to maximize summer sunlight, because you actually want to keep the greenhouse cool in the summer. You don't want to get it hot. So this is actually the design in my backyard that I patented initially. Go ahead.
Like, can we build some, like, you know, is it possible to build something like this on Mars with that kind of natural habitat? I'm very curious.
We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. Right now we're on planet Earth, right? And you know, every component in, you know, are you guys all engineers, just to understand? I know
I'm not an engineer.
Me
Me
and Sanjay are engineers. Sanjay is actually doing his PhD. He's in his final year.
Okay, so you guys understand top-down design, right? Top-down design is you start from very general to very specific. So this is a top-down view of my greenhouse with all the components that I was going to try to include. And then the further drawings give you further details so that you can build it. Like, literally, you could look at this patent application and you should be able to build one in your backyard if you're an engineer. Because this is not complex stuff. This is on a technology level 1 to 10. I give this like a 2 at most. You know, let's say 10 is neural network, robotic vision for satellite communication.
You're just clicking buttons and things are moving on.
Yeah, this is very low level technology because it's not complex from an engineering point of view. And so each drawing describes the different components within the invention. So this is another component. It's a black soldier fly auto fish feeder. So I put organic matter in here. The black soldier fly is converted to soil, and the larvae comes out the ramp and falls into the fish tank and becomes fish food. So all your plant waste gets converted into fish food. This is a rocket stove heater, but I'm not going to go through everything because there's so many components. But the point I'm trying to make is that everything in that top level picture is described in detail in the additional drawings.
Mhm.
so that you should be able to look at my patent application and build this in your backyard. That's the goal. And I believe you can do it because it's not very complex. So these are just some other aspects that I was thinking of, how to do water collection, for example, because you want to collect all the water, rainwater, and things like that.
Mhm.
I have the concept of a water wall, which is a thermal battery for keeping, the greenhouse cool in the summer and warm in the winter. This is my water processing loop.
Mhm.
This is a multi-story version of the greenhouse. This is how, and this is where I stopped, by the way. The first patent application I wrote stopped right here, figure 12.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay. Before this application issued as a patent, I filed for another patent and I started
Mhm.
including other inventions into it. And this is where I started experimenting with mushrooms. Before this, I wasn't growing mushrooms, I was only growing fish and plants. At this point, I started integrating mushrooms into the greenhouse. And
Mhm.
that's when I started illustrating how that would work. I also
So
invented filter and I patented that. This is a biofilter that I patented.
Mhm.
Um, and then some other implementations that I haven't gone after yet.
Mhm.
You can see here I started thinking about solar panels for each grow bed. So this is where I started thinking about the N-way redundant stuff. But I'm sorry, you
Mhm.
can interrupt me if you have any questions along the way because
No,
Okay.
no, no, no. We
there's
are
a
we
lot of
are just loving it right for now.
yeah,
We are not going to interrupt you.
What
the
I want to
question.
ask one thing is
Yeah,
I have
Sanjay.
one question.
yes,
That
sir.
since Carlos, you got this patent in US, right? So is there any possibility that person from any other country would replicate it and start selling it and start making profit without even telling you?
That's right. That's because patents are national, right? So all the
Mm,
stuff that you're seeing is open source to the world except the United
Yeah,
States. Now,
that's
the
my
United
point.
States is 60% of the world market. And
Mm-hmm.
what you can do is you can do it in your own country, right? But as soon as you try to import it into the United States, let's think China or India, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's where the patent is going to stop you. So patents protect nations, right? So the United States is protected not only from people infringing it within the United States, but from foreign people trying to get into the US market. Does that make sense?
Yes,
yes.
completely.
Absolutely,
Okay,
completely.
Okay,
Carlos. There are
but
three things I would like to mention. First
Sure.
of all, that the first time I had a private conversation with Carlos, the first conversation was about top down design between me and him. The another thing I would like to mention is uh, at that time when I was talking with Carlos, I will just remove the screen share just for a minute. It will be right back. It is still
No
sharing.
problem. Don't worry about it.
So basically, the first time I was talking with Carlos, so it was about having software patents because we are from India, okay, and in India there is no rules for software patent. You can't patent a software in India. And the third thing was cost. So I'm still going to cover those 3 points in this live stream, but I will let you do that presentation first because I'm loving it.
So in
Yeah.
that context, I want to know one thing, like, can an algorithm be patented alone, or does it require physical implementation? I just want to ask. No.
Algorithms, naturally occurring things in nature are not patentable.
Okay.
This is an easy way to think of an invention, and I disagree with the software related stuff. There's no difference between software and hardware, and I'll tell you why. Okay.
Mhm.
Uh, the stuff that we were doing in hardware at Hughes Aircraft back in 1994, right? I can do on my phone right now in software.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
whether an invention is a hardware or software implementation is a function of frequency. Okay.
Mhm.
Mhm.
As frequency goes to infinity, designs go to
Mhm.
hardware. As frequency goes to zero, designs go to software. But
Mhm.
I challenge you to show me a piece of software that operates without hardware.
Mhm.
I'll wait.
Okay. So
You know of any
suppose.
software that operates without hardware?
Mhm.
Do you know of any software that operates without hardware?
Absolutely not.
Okay. And that's the point. The distinction between software being patentable and hardware being patentable is silly. And I've told that to the muckety mucks at the USPTO. You guys don't understand engineering. It's a function of frequency. You know, I can take anything we were doing in 1994 in hardware and put it on probably a software defined radio right now. You know,
Mhm.
all that stuff. Now let's talk about higher frequencies. Now let's crank up the frequency now to frequencies that our processors aren't operating at right now, right?
Mhm.
All of a sudden those designs have to be hardware. You can't do them in software. The processors aren't fast enough.
Also,
So
when it comes
Dave,
to
sorry,
technical documentation, we have to specify that on what kind of hardware, how it is performing.
yes,
And
look. When I do software patents, I always start with the hardware. And I'm probably biased because I'm a hardware designer, right? And I know that software doesn't exist in a vacuum. And when I file a patent application, I don't care if it's software. Hardware is always involved. It's always involved. There's servers, there's user devices, and that's why algorithms are protectable, right? An algorithm that just runs and does nothing is not patentable. There has to be an application. Like, how are you using the algorithm? What data is coming in? And as soon as you start doing that, it involves hardware. So, like when I work with companies that are doing, and by the way, I've gotten software related patents in India, so I disagree with you 100%. You just have
Mhm.
to be clever about
Mhm.
how you claim it and how you describe it, and you want to
Mhm.
start from a hardware point of view, hardware, hardware, hardware. Then
Mhm.
you show how the software operates on that hardware. It's
Mhm.
crucial to do that. If you don't do that, you'll never get a patent in software in the United States, pretty much anywhere else in the world. So it's
Mhm.
technology, 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 hardware, 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 and then the
Yeah.
software comes in. Sorry to
You
beat
know,
that.
So
I
recently
kind of agreed
I
about
actually
this.
initiated this question. The reason is, even recently, even me and Yash talked with the same lawyer at a time for different purposes, and even that lawyer was telling us that there is no software patent in India, and I was like, why?
Mm.
You know, let me tell you something. Most patent lawyers aren't electrical like the difference between me and other patent lawyers. I'm a real engineer, right? I'm not like I didn't just get my degree to go to law school to become a patent attorney. I'm a real engineer. I designed the Raptor. I built software defined radio. So when I started hearing people saying software isn't patentable, I immediately said that's stupid. It's a stupid concept. And I will tell you what's driving that whole, let's call it Kool-Aid, that software isn't patentable. It's actually the major corporations that are getting sued on software patents by the older corporations like IBM, Sun Microsystems. Those are the OGs, right? And now you got
Okay.
Google, Facebook, etc. And they're saying, oh, we don't like software patents because we're getting sued for infringement on stuff that we're doing now and it shouldn't be patentable. It's bullshit.
Mhm.
Look, an invention is a novel solution to a problem. I don't care if it's software or hardware. Does it solve a
Mhm.
problem? Is it novel? Patentable.
Mhm.
And novel means that somebody else hasn't done it, right?
Mhm.
So I'm not going to beat India again about the software stuff. I've heard the same thing in the United States, that software isn't patentable. Now, software, it's not patentable if you don't understand how to claim it and how to write it. Yeah, then it's
okay.
completely not patentable.
Mhm.
But if you know how to write it, like for example, I always tell people like yourself, right? Your
Mhm.
AI systems or whatever. If I'm God looking down on your system, what do I see? I see hardware. I don't see
Mhm.
the bits running through the machines. I just see servers, clients, user devices, algorithms, right? All
Right.
interconnected in a specific way. That's what
Mhm.
I see. That's the hardware. So you describe that first, how all
Mhm.
that hardware works, and then you have corresponding flow charts in the
Mhm.
software that correspond to each level of the hardware. So you have
Mhm.
a top design of the hardware, top level flow chart of the
Mm-hmm.
software, sub level design of the hardware, sub level flow chart of the software, and you
Mm-hmm.
describe it in all directions. What does the client see? What does the server see? Because the server and the client are each seeing different things, right? The client is
Mm-hmm.
sending something to the server is sending something back. The algorithm is receiving input from somebody, it's processing it, sending it back. So I know I'm beating this to death. Yes, software is patentable, and anybody that says that, I immediately, you can
Yeah.
see I'm a little not triggered, but enthusiastic about this, because it's really people that don't understand technology that make
Mm-hmm.
that claim. So I would love to talk to
Mm-hmm.
your patent attorney and explain to him why there's no difference between software and
Yeah,
hardware.
I mean, like you explained it like
I
very
believe
well.
I
Even
believe
though
that
I
attorneys I
understand.
am talking to, they will love to talk to you and learn something from you.
You know, I've lectured in Scandinavia, other places. I've lectured Stanford students, MIT students, students from these great universities, and they're telling them they're not learning what I'm teaching them. And I'll tell you why. Because I'm a real engineer. Like I'm not a pretend engineer. I can go design systems. I can go build neural networks. I can do all that stuff. I just happen to be a patent attorney. But anyways, back to the patent applications. So this application captures like every single invention that I have related to this particular patent
Mm-hmm.
family, and patents are
Mm-hmm.
related by families, right? So if
Mm-hmm.
Harsh has an invention related to AI and he starts messing around with it, different applications, that's a
Mm-hmm.
family of technology related, to what he's doing. So these
Mm-hmm.
are all inventions that are all related to my initial aquaponics stuff. And this right here, I just started getting patents on this in Mexico and Singapore, and I
Mm-hmm.
forget where else. I think China, I got the patent. And this is a standalone refrigerator like device that you could put
Mm-hmm.
in a restaurant that grows fish plants and mushrooms. So imagine a restaurant with a little, glass shelf, and you go up and you say, I want some shiitake mushrooms with some tilapia and some microgreens. And
Mm-hmm.
5 seconds or 10 minutes later on your plate, you have fresh food, literally harvested,
Mm-hmm.
that moment. And they keep going on. This one is patented worldwide. Like
Mm-hmm.
all this other stuff that you saw was U.S. only, because
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really think it was that. And I mean, I was like, it's cool, but you know what? It costs money to protect the world. And I said, I'm just happy protecting this in the United States because the US is 60% of the world market.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I make money just in the US, I'll have more money than, I don't want to say God because that's sacrilegious, but I'll have more money than I ever need to spend, right? So this stuff I just kind of patented in the US. But this
Mm-hmm.
was the huge breakthrough that got patented worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the integration of mushroom cultivation with plant
Mm-hmm.
cultivation in a system that cycles hot air and cold air, CO2 and O2,
Mm-hmm.
moist air and dry air. And the reason I knew I was onto something, well, let me explain the invention. This is the plant side, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is where you grow your plants. The sun comes in over here, right?
Uh-huh.
What do plants produce?
Uh-huh.
Oxygen, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So the plants produce oxygen. It gets captured by an evaporative cooling system here. An evaporative
Mm-hmm.
cooling system is nothing than spraying water on something, right? Like a mat or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. And then that cold, moist air gets pushed into the mushroom chamber,
Mm-hmm.
and all the CO2 from the mushrooms gets pushed
Mm-hmm.
into the plant. And plants like CO2 and mushrooms like O2. So this creates a natural, circulation within the greenhouse. And I have
Mm-hmm.
videos that are animated that show this kind of stuff in much
Mm-hmm.
better way than I'm explaining it. But this is, when I came up with this, I was like, this is huge. Okay, this is
Mm-hmm.
huge. So this invention is patented in 13 countries and regions, including
Mm-hmm.
India, Asia, Australia, Middle East, United States, Canada, Brazil, every place that has pretty much every place I could think of that could use the invention.
Mhm.
Okay, so
India.
uh,
Go ahead.
is it the only reason you are using mushrooms, or there is more?
No, that's a great question. Actually,
Hmm.
the like here, I don't know if you can still see this diagram, but you know, this is the problem with passive solar greenhouses. Okay, the problem is that
Okay.
this is the water wall right here in the middle, right? And you know what a water? It's a thermal battery, right? We know that water stores heat, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
We know that, right?
I'm aware of it.
Like, so when the sun shines through here, it hits the water wall, and the water
Mhm.
wall stores the heat. But in the summertime, the sun is high up in the sky up here, and the
Mhm.
water wall keeps the greenhouse cool. I did not invent this. This is the Chinese. The Chinese
Mhm.
invented this part of it right here is
Okay.
all 100-year-old technology. A water
Mhm.
wall, with glazing, passive solar design, not patentable. Chinese did
Mhm.
this years ago. What I started asking was, half of the greenhouse was shaded, and it has to be shaded because that's what keeps the greenhouse cool in the summer, right?
Mhm.
But nobody wants to build a greenhouse where half of it is shaded. And
Mhm.
this is these types of designs have not taken off in large scale agriculture.
Mhm.
You see gigantic greenhouses, but they're all glass, right? And they pay for
Mhm.
heating and cooling these greenhouses because it's cheaper to heat and cool the greenhouse than to have a greenhouse that doesn't require heating and cooling, but half of it is unusable.
Mhm.
And mushrooms came. I said, I know what likes dark, cold, and moist
Mhm.
Mhm.
mushroom.
Mushroom.
And I integrated mushroom cultivation along with fish and plant, along with
Mhm.
fish tank and a
Mhm.
plant room. And that was the big idea. And it got granted to China, which has the oldest prior art. And by the way, people bash China all the time. I don't know if I can ever use my invention in China. Maybe they'll take it, whatever, right?
Mhm.
I'm hoping to sell it to a company within China. And by the way, if there's any Chinese companies listening, which you may be, hey, my patents are for sale in China. You want to buy them? I'll sell them to you, and you can
Okay.
monopolize the Chinese market.
Mhm.
Okay, so
Okay.
there is a salt water. So is it anything related with bacteria growth? The salt water that you are
Th-
using?
this is the fish tank here, right?
The
What
desalination process. This
what
the
what what I discovered was that, um, well, you know, if you put salt water in the sun, what happens? It evaporates, and the salt
Mhm.
stays behind. It's called a solar still. What I
Mhm.
realized is that greenhouses are solar stills. Like, let's say you put this on a boat. Like, let's say this thing was on a barge, right?
Okay.
Over salt water,
Mhm.
it would generate drinking water
Mhm.
because the water would evaporate. The salt water would evaporate because it's getting all this heat from the sun. And I've got
Mhm.
gutter systems inside of the greenhouse that capture all moisture. So this thing will generate drinking water
Mhm.
without any complex. I know there's many ways to desalinate. There's active ways. This is a fully passive desalinator, and it's
Mhm.
basically based on evaporation. And I have found out that 100 square feet of salt water will generate 1,000 liters per day of drinking water.
Mhm.
Oh.
So, and you'll see later on how this evolved, right? So I realized that, and I'll tell you how this happened. I had somebody from Middle East come over to look at my greenhouse,
Mhm.
and he was telling me, he goes, "This is really great, but where I
Mhm.
live, as soon as you dig a hole, it fills up with salt water." As soon as he said that, I was like, "Oh my god!" I didn't say anything because you got to keep your mouth shut. But as soon as he said that if you dig a hole, it fills up with salt water, the light
Mhm.
bulb went off, and I said, "Oh my gosh, I can create a water generator." Like picture this in Dubai or in Saudi Arabia near the coast, right? You dig a hole, that's your saltwater basin, and now
Mm-hmm.
you're extracting water from that saltwater basin
Mm-hmm.
and generating
Okay.
drinking water in the middle of the desert.
Uh-huh.
And these houses, fish, plants, mushrooms, soil, drinking
Mm-hmm.
water, and solar energy because they're equipped with solar panels to run the air pumps. But the point is that the air pumps don't use very much electricity, so you have a
Uh-huh.
lot of excess solar power that now can be used
Mm-hmm.
to sell at cities or to make money,
Uh-huh.
to monetize the
Mm-hmm.
solar gains. So, for example, if it were me, instead of having a solar farm, I would have a solar greenhouse farm, so that
Mm-hmm.
not only capturing all the solar energy, but you're also growing fish, plants, and mushrooms for the inhabitants of the city.
Mm-hmm.
Then you'll see later on that these became actual houses,
Mm-hmm.
buildings, and skyscrapers. We've got the United States for this concept for houses, buildings,
So
and skyscrapers.
basically, when it comes to water generation, when we are generating almost 1000 liters of water, so an average person consumes around 2 to 3 liters of water, which can also go up to 4 to 6 liters in a day. And since we are generating 1000 liter, it means almost 333 to 500 people can consume that water from one single uh, dream habitat.
Well, I didn't do the math, so thank you for that. I appreciate that. And I kept going. This is another version of my kiosk. This is getting patented in some countries. It's again something that grows fish, plants, and mushrooms like in a restaurant. This is
Uh-huh.
something you would put inside of a restaurant to be able to provide fresh greens and mushrooms to your clients. And now
Mhm.
this is where it got interesting. So I
Okay.
told you guys I'm not a biologist, and I'm definitely not an architect. Okay,
Okay.
Yeah.
and I knew that my inventions could be converted into houses, buildings, and skyscrapers. I knew that because
Mhm.
this is level 2 technology, right? This is not level 10. So I'm like, yeah, if you can build a greenhouse, you can build a skyscraper, but I'm
Mhm.
not an architect. And you know, life is interesting, right? I always believe that you meet people for a reason. I've met Harsh for a reason, and I know we're going to do wonderful things together. I know that. I
Mhm.
know I've met every one of you for a reason, and we're going to do wonderful things together. I needed an architect that wouldn't charge me because I had no money. Okay. And try to find an architect that will do anything for free.
Mhm.
Okay. And I was looking for an architect, and one night I was in Washington, D.C., and we were having this event on the mall. The mall is where the Washington Monument is.
Mhm.
And I was going to be a guard at that event, to make sure people don't do stupid things. And I was
Mhm.
coming back from happy hour. It was like midnight, brutally cold. I'm talking November in DC, wind gusts. It was like 20 degrees or something like that, Fahrenheit. Apologies, I don't convert to Celsius. Below freezing, let's just put it that way. And I wanted to go. I had a shift that started 4 in the morning. So I decided to go and just check in to see what was going on. And I see
Mhm.
these two ladies sitting there drinking hot cocoa.
Mhm.
And I go up to them and I go, "Hey, what are you guys up to?" And they're like, "Oh, we're just here. We were just walking by and we saw the events and we decided to come by and they offered us some cocoa." And I'm like,
Mhm.
"Very cool." And of course, as you can tell, I'm very outgoing. And they're like, "Yeah, what do you do?" I said, "Well, I'm very much into aquaponics." And they're like, "Oh my gosh, in Russia where we're from, we pick mushrooms." So they're mushroom experts, foraging.
Okay.
I said, "Really? You guys are into mushrooms?" And they're like, "Yeah." I go, "What do you guys do?" And they're architects. And I said, "You guys are architects?" I said, "Would you
Uh,
guys take my greenhouse drawings and convert them to houses, buildings, and skyscrapers? And
mhm.
I can't pay." And they said yes. So this round of patents is the buildings, houses, buildings, and skyscrapers. These are
Mhm.
these are all based on the drawings that these ladies generated for me.
Mm-hmm.
This is like
By the way,
all.
I'm watching this all this. My mind is getting filled with ideas. There are few questions which are like I am very resisting hard not to interrupt. But I was like,
You,
okay, there is one
let me.
problem. There
This
is
is
one
this
question I have.
before I get to that question, let me tell you why this is important. Those ladies became co-inventors on this patent application. You
Okay.
understand? I invented the greenhouses and I said, hey, can you guys make houses, buildings, and skyscrapers from them? They're co-inventors on the patent portfolio related to houses, buildings, and skyscrapers. So, for example, I know Harsh has a lot of questions and he's a smart person. He's already thinking of 1,000 other things. I know you are too. And I apologize, I didn't remember your names, but
Sanjay.
the PhD, say the PhD, he's already thinking of 1,000 things, right? And
Yeah.
that's the
Many
beauty of collaboration is that when we put our brains together, we produce more than I think of, because now the next invention is Carlos plus Harsh, Carlos plus PhD student, or yeah, I guess PhD candidate.
Sanjay
But
and Sanjay.
Sunday,
You know
Uh,
what?
thank you.
You know what I was thinking? The salt water that you are using, you can control the bacteria growth using that also. You can use that.
Also,
Yeah,
I was thinking like
go ahead, Harsh.
there is a couple in India, in Delhi particularly. What they are doing, they are generating something similar. I have seen their project on YouTube, and what they are doing it to generate food in the home, and also to purify the air of the home
Okay.
they are living in. So can it be used as efficient air purifier?
Yeah, there's a lot of companies that have done air purification with plants. There's a
Mhm,
company out of Finland that I think were the pioneers on it. I forget the name of the company, but they're creating these plant walls in buildings,
mhm,
where the plants would put out oxygen, right? Plants take in CO2, they put out oxygen. So yes, plants. If you look at my ideas, right, you have circulation of CO2 and O2, same thing.
mhm,
And back to Sanjay, yes, the bacteria. What's interesting and what I really need. I need universities to study my system actually because I'm not a biologist. I
okay.
haven't studied microbiome of the interaction between soil-based plants, fish, algae, and all the microbes are related to denitrification, nitrification, etc. And on top of that, what the mushrooms contribute. Because remember, I'm the first one to integrate mushrooms into aquaponic cultivations. So I believe that the biosystem in my ecosystem, let's say
Mhm,
that aquaponics has 10x microbes, I might be at
correct.
100x because of the mushrooms and what they contribute to the ecosystem. And yes,
Mhm,
I've got, in the past, I haven't claimed it, but I've talked about, electricity generation from algae, all the stuff related to algae and how you can use algae for
mhm,
various things, including generating, you know, electricity and other functions. But yes, the whole point of the reason I'm mentioning the ladies that joined me is
mhm,
because what I'm doing is part of a much bigger project called the Open Innovation and Collaboration Engine, where
mhm,
people like yourself come in and bring your ideas and we patent
mhm,
them and we put them into the community and now we
mhm,
monetize it and we share in the profits in the community.
mhm.
This way we can create wealth for ourselves by monetizing our ideas through patents and
By the way, by
monetizing
the
them.
way, guys, in just for the sake of layman terms, this is like I talked about this innovation. Like Carlos is basically have formed a innovative group, and
Hmm.
that innovative group is like you can imagine it as an avenger of innovators.
Hmm.
Okay, and over to you, Carlos.
Yeah, yeah, and so that was. co-invented with these two ladies that I mentioned to you that are my co-inventors. And then I started thinking about geodesics, like how do I convert mine into a circle? And I started coming up with geodesic designs for my inventions. And and that was another set of patents. Uh, this was a container-based version, so this is something that you can parachute into a location, and it folds out like an origami structure to create a passive solar greenhouse. So you could put these for disaster relief or for military operations. You could parachute them in, or bring them in by boat, and you can have people start growing fish, plants, and mushrooms. This invention was with a co-inventor that had the idea of recycling the water from the air pumps, because the air pumps generate water, and this was a way to recycle the water from the air pumps. We got a patent on that. This one here is an array of buildings or greenhouses that can clean up an entire polluted body of water, like the Gulf of Mexico or places in India that have polluted bodies of water. And the idea is that we have this other invention we have is a smart raft. It's a raft that has plants growing on it, and these plants take out the nitrates from the water, and they can be controlled by drones. And then there's water channels going to the greenhouses, so that now we can generate electricity, drinking water, fish, mushrooms, salt, and soil is the output of this system. This one got granted previously. That was, I think, the last patent I got was on this array of greenhouses. This one I haven't claimed yet. It's a application for space. You talked about space earlier. This is how you would implement my system in space or underwater. And then this is another version of my mushroom growing chamber, which could be a patent on its own, which uses an evaporative cooling system to keep the mushrooms cold. This was the N-way redundant system that got patented. And I'm sorry, this is the N-way redundant system that's just getting patented. So before that patent issues, I'm going to start thinking what my next idea is related to this. And then I'm going to file another case with whatever my next crazy idea is. And that's pretty much the history of my sustainability portfolio.
So, how are you going to monetize one of them or all of them? Like, what's the application or kind of solution you're bringing to the market with this technology, with this invention?
Well, monetizing, requires use, right? So people have to start using the idea. And I've gotten a lot of interest from it, and there's lots of ways, when you have a patent, there's several ways to monetize it. You can sell it, right? You can license it. You can build it. You can team up with somebody to build it. That's the basic ways of monetizing technology that's protected by intellectual property. You can sell the patent outright. You can license the patent to somebody that wants to build it. You can build it with somebody. You can build it yourself. You can build it with somebody. And the last two, the last one is a joint venture, right? Doing it yourself is a startup. Licensing it is licensing it, getting people to use the patent, give you money for using it. Selling it is selling it. So those are the ways you monetize intellectual property that's protected by IP. And the previous patents that I talked about are all part of a much bigger idea, which is the open innovation and collaboration engine. And that's the engine that I was telling you about, where inventors come in, we protect their patents, and then when those things get monetized, 10% of all monetization events flow back to the community. And eventually, the community becomes an incubator. Eventually, enough of these monetization events occur that we're able to actually become like an incubator, and we're able to self-launch. And the way we do it is through IP assets, generating IP assets and then monetizing the IP assets for benefit of the community. And
Mm-hmm.
this is the latest patent application, has not been granted yet, on the
Uh-huh.
concept of the open innovation engine, um, which is implemented on the blockchain. And I don't have enough time to go into this because this is a whole nother, I could spend another hour talking about just the engine. Um, but it's basically an engine that's driven by patent portfolios.
Mm-hmm.
It's an
Yes.
innovation engine, which means it's not capital centric. Right now, everything is capital centric, right? The guys
Yes.
with the money make the rules, and we've heard that before, right? It's true, right? The guys with the money make the rules. That's the way it is right now. I
Mm-hmm.
want a world where the ones with the innovation create the wealth.
Mm-hmm.
That's the world that I want. I want an
Hmm.
innovator.
Okay, I have a question. What when it comes to dream habitat, what are
Yep.
the challenges you think you are still facing and can be improved?
Money. It's always the challenge. Getting
So
getting
how
always
about
the challenge.
like, you can you can display this problem you're solving, and get an MVP product, and you don't even need to invest to build the product. You can sell before you build, and when you sold it, then you have the money, and then put the money into that product, and then give it to the people to use it, and then keep
Mm-hmm.
the feedback loop open to keep it using, and also reinvesting and making the money from it. And
Mm-hmm.
that's like, you can kind of recycle that money to make it much much better, or you can keep
Mm-hmm.
going, like you
Uh,
can.
there is there is one more better question I have in my mind. And
Hmm.
I am actually speaking this question from from some past experience, because when money gets involved, uh, the investors, obviously, let's call those people the investors, they demand a lot of alterations.
Yes.
So have what kind, when it comes to alterations in terms of money, what kind of questions do you usually get for this project?
But we'll see. The point that you made, or I'm sorry, what was your name? Sanjay, Harsh, and apologies.
It's
Yash,
harsh.
I know you.
Harsh.
Hey, what's your name? The guy in the
My
middle.
name is Yash Rana.
Yash.
Yash Yash Rana.
I'm probably butchering it, but Yash, Sanjay, and Harsh. Okay, Yash, Sanjay.
Yes.
The point that Yash made, I mentioned, right? They're selling, licensing, creating, and joint ventures. That's
Mhm,
it. So you're talking about creating.
mhm,
You're saying, hey, why don't you build your thing and create a market? And that's the lowest hanging fruit is selling, right? Like right now, if somebody says, hey, I want to buy your patent portfolio in India for, let me be greedy, $2 million. I can only do 100 million, right? If they
So
develop it.
thank
I'd
God you
say,
yeah,
said three.
like,
I was thinking
let's say
five.
if that's the way
I'd say,
you would
yeah,
like.
give me the 2 million. You got India. You can have India. And now I
Uh-huh.
recoup my investment, and I can use that 2 million to go, I don't know, in the United States and build and do exactly what I forgot your name. I'm sorry.
Yash,
Yes.
Yash. Yeah, so
Yeah,
if that's the lowest hanging fruit, like, so then, like, what's the challenge you are facing in selling?
connection. You guys are in a position to make my dream come true in India, right? I've
Yeah.
already got some clubhouse that want to partner up in India. Everything I do right now is non-exclusive, even in
Uh-huh.
India, until somebody proves themselves, right? If this guy in Clubhouse that's claiming he wants to build my greenhouses and do this in India knocks it out of
Mhm.
the park, I'm going to say, brother, you got all of India. It's yours. India's yours. But I'm not going to
You
give
know.
him all of India without knowing what the heck he's going to, this is how you have to protect yourself as an innovator. You have to have
Mhm,
milestones for the person that's using your technology, right? You have to say,
mhm,
yes, this is the deal. You give me money and a certain percentage of your gross, but you got to
mhm,
start, doing shit, right? You got to build these. You got to make money. We need to make money. And then he does really well. And I say, wow, you knocked it out of the park in your region of India.
uh-huh.
I'll give you the next region and the next region. And if, and meanwhile, nobody else has come in, they're going to get all of India. And I think that's the smart way to work with IP. Because I had an Indian guy come to me and say, I want your patent worldwide. And I'm like, first of all, I don't need, you know, I don't know you can execute worldwide. Show me something in your hometown in India and impress me. And then we can start talking about, get out of there. We can start talking about India,
Yeah.
Indonesia, Australia, these other regions. So, hey, maybe somebody that's listening to this that's in India uh, is somebody that's interested in doing this stuff. And,
You know,
that's the whole
today after this stream ends, definitely it is going to be way more longer. But after this stream ends, I'm going to send this stream to a lot of people I know in India, not just me. And another thing is, you thank God you said 2 million. After being greedy, I was thinking at least five in my head.
Oh,
Yeah, I was thinking very interesting that.
I mean, 2 million, but I'm not talking rupees, USD, right?
No, I'm also
Yes,
talking
USD.
USD.
Okay, just to be clear,
Here is surprising thing in India. We don't talk in rupees. Even in India
okay,
we talk in USD.
look, Harsh,
That's surprising.
bring 2 million in India and you're going to get 10%. Okay, right off the bat. And that's an open offer to anybody out there. I've got other people I got to pay also, like my co-inventor, etc. But one thing that I am not is greedy. First of all, if I get it licensed in India, what the next license is going to cost? Like, let's say I got 2 million in India, right? Let's just say, okay, here's somebody who wants to buy India for 2 million, right? I'm going to go to Australia and say 4 million. I'm going to go to Europe and say 20 million.
How about like you start by presenting the impact, like let's say, okay, you can show them, if you go execute it, and in the next coming 3, 5 or 10 years you can capture a 100 million market if you have the capacity to execute it. So then you can sell it based on the impact and the value,
Yes.
you know
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
then
let's
you
say,
can.
for example, we start in India, right? Let's just a scenario. You guys know somebody in India and we get a project going in India. And by the way, the project that's interesting is it, there's a super city, is it New Delhi, that there's a huge market for gourmet mushrooms and gourmet plants. People pay a lot of money for that, even under Indian, in India. You know, if that person that I'm talking to in Clubhouse knocks it out of the park, right? Of course, I'm going to give them another region in India. I'd be
Mm,
stupid not to. And let's say he knocks that out of the park in India, right? And now we're making money. Of course, I'm going to include him in Australia or Europe. You know what I'm saying? It's like when somebody proves
yeah.
themselves, you don't slap them in the face and say, "Well, I don't know. I'm a very team oriented, loyal person, right?" So if I team up with somebody and they're crushing it in their country, why wouldn't I want to bring them into another country to help us crush that country? I hate to use the word
100%.
crush, but you know what I'm saying.
Oh, so
Yeah.
I have one question regarding the licensing. Beyond filing patents, how important is licensing for commercial success? What do you feel?
Licensing is what makes, until you have a license, the patents are valueless. Like, right now on paper, now, white button mushrooms, I can grow those no problem. You know,
Mushrooms.
once, once you have a license, right? Like, okay, let's look at like monetization, right? An idea is worth X, right? An idea that has a patent application is worth 2x, and I'm making these x's, the scale up. A patented idea has 10x. A patent idea patented worldwide has 100x. A patented idea patented worldwide with licensors, people that are taking licenses, has 1,000x. It's because
Okay.
patents value is based on use, right? As soon as and why did I say 2 million? Yeah, I could probably get more in India. I don't need more. 2 million would satisfy me because it would solve my problems, which is getting back all the money I invested in this idea. And it would let me build something in India that would increase the value of all the other countries. And I'm
Mhm.
not a greedy
Understand.
person. We knock it out of the park in
By the way,
India, you
uh,
to
by the
be,
way, guys,
100.
I think
Abhinav
Sanjay can
says hi.
implement this. He
Abhinav says
looks.
hi to us on the stream.
Uh-huh.
So hello, Abhinav, and
Hello, Abhinav, brother. Yeah, who is Abhinav?
Abhinav is a guy personally. He messaged me that भैया ये बढ़िया innovation कर रहे हैं. Like Carlos, Abhinav says that you are creating some great innovation.
The reason I created this worldwide was because I knew it was huge. I mean, look, I'm not rich. People think that everybody in the United States is rich. I'm not rich. I'm self-employed and I help the little people, which by definition means I'm not rich. If I was helping the corporations, I would probably be wealthy, but I choose to help the people that have nothing. I put my entire life savings into this invention because I knew how important it was. I've
Mhm,
gambled talk about taking a risk, right? I've got
mhm,
500,000 US that I've invested in myself.
mhm,
500,000 bucks that I have put into all this stuff. And I would not have done it if I didn't know that it was going to change the world. I know it's going to change the world. Right now, I
mhm,
can build cities that feed themselves and that
mhm,
generate drinking water, soil, and food. I could really create a city where people don't even have to work. Like the building itself feeds you. And what does that mean once you don't have to pay for energy and food? You know what it means? It means now we can do whatever the part of the French fuck we want. And that's my goal. Is I apologize,
Yes.
I trigger warning. But the world that I want is where we have food and energy is a given. We don't need to pay for food or energy, right?
mhm,
Now you can be an engineer, you can be a biologist, you can be a content creator, you can be whatever the hell you want to be because you're passionate about it, not because you need the money. In India, I don't want kids to go to IT because that's what the hell pays the bills. I want kids in India to start designing software defined
mhm,
radios, next generation, chips and things like that. My
mhm,
understanding is that a majority of the kids in India going into
mhm.
IT because it's the lowest hanging fruit. It's like a guaranteed job. You're going to be in IT. No, fuck IT. No, pardon my French, whoever's listening. You know,
Yes,
be a brain surgeon, be, a chip designer, think
yes,
bigger. I think,
yes, Sanjay.
think,
Listen to
You
this
know,
very
you
clearly.
just answered the question when I asked in the beginning, like, what's the meaning behind it, and that's the meaning. Like, it's solving
Yeah.
the just brain fog problem of anyone who is just bringing or growing up in their life. They would like to stress
Mhm.
over how they're going to put food on the table, and with
You
this,
know,
the problem is solved. It's amazing.
there is a
Now it's
word
amazing.
mentioned earlier in the stream called redundancy. Earlier, I had a meeting with another person, Yash and I. That person was asking me, what is my goal? In some terms, I want to make a lot of people redundant. And when it comes to in terms of a person, what redundant means. So I will actually read according to Google. Okay. So according to
Okay.
Google, of a person no longer employed because there is no more work available. That is what I want to do for IT.
Hmm.
and I just wrote a white paper with GPT on the Open Innovation Engine. Uh, and, you know, when we go to a world where we actually value innovation, in other words, we
Well,
value innovation as much as money,
Mhm,
we're going to solve every problem on earth, you know.
mhm,
And right now, I guarantee you, there's, I don't know, 5, 6,000 or more Einsteins in India right now. Like
mhm,
right now, there's Einstein sitting in India that because of their uh, um, state in life, because of their position in life, have no way of ever being able to show their brilliance.
hmm.
mhm,
I want an engine that sort of equalizes that concept. So even the
mhm,
poorest person, the poorest place, and the poorest location in the planet that has
mhm,
an idea can come into our engine,
mhm,
monetize it, and create wealth for their family and their village.
Mm-hmm.
That's the ultimate goal of the Open Innovation Engine. And let me
Mm-hmm.
do one other thing about the engine. I don't know if you guys know the 80-20 rule. Have you heard of the 80-20 rule in business?
Yes, Pareto principle, when like 20% work makes 80% effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the reason VCs say that we need these unicorns, right? Because let's say they invest 100 million on 100 companies, they know 8 out of those 10 companies are going to fail, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they want those last two companies to be unicorns, to give them 10 to 100x so they can recoup their investment. And
Mm-hmm.
MIT asked a question. They said everything on the planet is Gaussian. You guys know what a Gaussian distribution is, a bell curve, right? You measure intelligence, you measure anything, it forms this beautiful Gaussian distribution where it rises up and then it goes back down again, a bell curve. And they asked the
Mm-hmm.
question, why do startups not form a bell curve? In a perfect world, there should be most startups should be doing well in the middle of the curve. Some should be
Mm-hmm.
doing really well, the unicorns, and some should be sucking wind. But the unicorns and the ones that are sucking wind are a minor percentage of the entire curve. And they asked that question. They said, why don't startups follow that curve? And it
Mm-hmm.
turns out that they had found out it's luck. That
Mm-hmm.
what they did is they simulated, like, I don't know, 5,000 founders or something from 0 to 40 years, right? And some of the
Mm-hmm.
founders got a connection. They knew a guy at a law firm, that knew the guy at Google, that got their idea in front of the right people. Without any of that, it formed a Gaussian distribution. Most of the
Uh-huh.
people did well. Some did really well. Some sucked wind, just like a Gaussian. As soon as they put luck into the equation, it started doing the 80-20 rule. And
Mm-hmm.
the Open Innovation Engine is going to transform the 80-20 into a Gaussian distribution. Because
Mm-hmm.
imagine if every single human on planet Earth had the ability to monetize their innovation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Across the entire planet Earth, you would see a beautiful Gaussian distribution. People in the
Mm-hmm.
middle are monetizing their stuff. Some people at the end of the curve are crushing it. They're like 1,000x,
Mm.
10,000x. Very
Mm-hmm.
few people on the other end of the curve are losing. They're like zero, minus 1,000x, right? But
Mm.
most of the world would be creating wealth for our children's children's children, and that's what the Open Innovation Engine isn't about me making money. I could give a shit. I'm going to be dead. Who knows? I'm 66 years old. I've got maybe 20, 30 more revolutions around the sun. Witty.
Mm-hmm.
But this idea of the Open Innovation Engine, it could literally create a way for our children's children's children to create
Mm-hmm.
wealth for themselves. And
So
when we implement that, we're
I
going to solve on planet Earth. When
Mm.
we humans collaborate through something like this, and we apply
Mm-hmm.
all the technology that we have, like AI, etc., we're going to solve
Mm-hmm.
every problem on Earth. And within 1 year, we're going to have cities underwater. We're going to have cities in the desert. We're going to have cities in near space. Within two
Mm-hmm.
years, we're going to colonize the moon. Within 10 years, we're going to be citizens of the planet. That's my vision, and it's very ambitious. Thank you.
Uh-huh. I would like to,
Mm.
I would like to say two things. I would like to share
Mm.
one personal story from the entire context of this entire conversation. And another thing is, before getting into that story, Carlos, I am definitely getting a lot of ideas that how I can contribute into this project. Like I have like hundreds of ideas running in my mind that
I know you.
how can I combine my AI into this. Okay, how can it be converted into a big building, not just a simple backyard house? But also, even for one household, if there is just one simple backyard house or some uh, rooftop house, it can be like game changing for a lot of people, especially living uh, in cities with a very low air quality index. Now,
Yeah.
another thing, I have the personal story I was about to share. Like you said that in India there could be like next Einstein be living. When I talk to my relatives these days, I was like, you are lucky that I'm not filing a compensation claim on you, because you guys have wasted such a valuable time in my life, that when there is a easy hanging fruit, people, a society, they force you to grab that fruit first, okay, without realizing
Mm.
that when you are trying to grab that one single fruit, you are missing out the whole tree and maybe the whole garden, okay. So it's not like that no one is going to get there. I was in Kota. At that time, I was in very early, like I was in my high school, and at that time I had no interest. Trust me, I had no interest in the study those guys were teaching me. Later on life, when I needed that knowledge, I grabbed it, but on my own, and learned nothing from them. Okay, but what happened with me is that at that time I learned hacking. I went to a different groups in there. I learned hacking. I learned how to create games, and I created a game from scratch. It was nothing of such a none of a big thing, but it was the first thing I created without watching any tutorial. Okay, or any book. So I had no help, and when I created something with no help, my confidence level was here. Okay, so I was on fire at that day. Suddenly, then I started showing that thing to my mom. My mom would have loved it usually, but there was an uncle who was our landlord. Uncle was like this, okay, and because of the uncle's reaction, I got a good slap at that time to stay shut up. My mind is like, why? Doing something good, and that day I was like, I will destroy this mentality from my society. Right now I have successfully destroyed that mentality from my family and working on the society part. But that is those are the things also fuel innovators.
Mm.
That is a quality of innovators. When we get a backlash, we come up with double or triple force.
I wanted to mention that on I have groups on Facebook. I
Hmm.
know a lot of people don't use Facebook.
Hmm.
They all start with OU812,
Hmm.
and I think I have about 40 groups, and every group is like top team is like everybody, but I have like OU812 machine learning team, OU812, whatever. Right now
Hmm.
we've got how many people in here? Uh, Right now we've got 383 innovators, and
Hmm.
these are the people that are going to be part of the Open Innovation Engine.
Hmm.
And uh, we cover everything from mycology to robotics, etc. And this
Hmm.
is sort of the beginning of my vision for the engine, where we all start collaborating, um, and solving all the problems on Earth and actually creating wealth for our children.
Hmm.
And there's a post in here, I'm trying to find it, where I had the GPT compare the Open Innovation Engine to a neural
Hmm.
network,
Hmm.
and it does operate like a neural network, because basically my background is artificial intelligence. And
Hmm.
actually, maybe this paper doesn't have visuals, so it's hard. I don't know if you guys know Overleaf. It's a latex editor. It's a free latex editor.
Hmm.
But
Mhm.
anyways, it let me see if I can do it this way. Okay. It's hard. I don't know if you can see that here. Let me do something real quick.
Hmm.
Okay. So this is a paper I wrote on Overleaf using latex, and the GPT generate all the latex, by the way. So
Hmm.
the GPT helped me write this paper, and
Hmm.
it basically this is the wrong one. Apologies. I can't find it right now, but basically, I was trying to compare the Open Innovation Engine to a neural
Hmm.
network, and
Hmm.
it's very similar because you can think of these projects, and maybe this will be helpful right here. Hold on one
Hmm.
second. I don't know how much time we got, guys. I don't want to keep you here forever. Uh,
Hmm. No, no, no. You can take our entire life. There is no hurry.
Okay. So
But I
I think
made it with heart.
it'll be
We are
easier
enjoying it.
in the patent application. 06 CIP4. Okay. So this is the latest open innovation engine patent application. I already had it here. Okay. So this will explain what I'm talking about, why it's, my background is neural networks. So when I started thinking about the engine, I was thinking basically like in terms of neural networks. And this is, each project, right,
Mhm.
is made up of patent portfolios, right, and
Mhm.
people, inventors, maybe marketing people, etc.
Mhm.
And there's a smart contract that gets captures that portfolio and the team, the contribution of every member, equity splits, all sorts of stuff like that. When this portfolio monetizes, like this is each portfolio can monetize. So this is portfolio one, team one, portfolio two, team two, portfolio N, team N. You notice how
Mhm.
they're all interconnected like a neural network? That's
Mhm.
the open collaboration aspect of it. Every project is connected to every other project.
Mhm.
So, these two teams might collaborate with each other and form another team, another
Mhm.
portfolio. It's a combination of one and two. But
Mhm.
they're all interconnected like a neural network. And
Mhm.
each portfolio generates a monetization event. Like this is
Mhm.
monetization two, monetization N, monetization one, right?
Mhm.
And a piece of that monetization goes to this baseline monetization that gets shared with everybody in the ecosystem.
Mhm.
So picture these as neurons, right?
Mhm.
Hmm.
That and the monetization event is when the neuron fires.
Mhm.
And every time a monetization event occurs, the portfolio team gets a large percentage of that monetization, but
Mhm.
10% goes to everybody else in the community, including the team. So not only do they get their lion's share of the monetization, but they get a piece of that 10% that goes to everybody else.
Mhm.
And what that means is as
Mhm.
long as the neurons are firing,
Mhm.
the brain stays alive.
Mhm.
And eventually there's enough of this baseline monetization, 10% coming to all the members of the community, where eventually the community becomes an incubator and self-funding. Like
Uh-huh.
imagine a million monetization events where now every single member of the community is a billionaire. Let's just
Mhm.
put that out. We're all billionaires, right? And there's 300 of us.
Uh-huh.
Imagine what we do with 300 billion now as a
Mhm.
community. And that's where the other part of the engine comes in. There's
Uh-huh.
at that point, we could say, look, we're going to find an inventor in India that has nothing, and we're going
Mhm.
to fully finance him, fully support him, and he gets to keep 100% of the profit. We just get our money back for what we put in, but they keep 100%. That's called pro bono. That's where we're trying to
Mhm.
help people that have nothing.
Mhm.
What's interesting about the engine on the other extreme are the corporations, right? And we
Mhm.
could now go to corporations and say, what problems do you have that you want us to solve for you? We
Mhm.
as a team solve the problem. We wrap a patent portfolio around the problem, and now we
Mhm.
sell it back to corporations for as much money as we can possibly get. So let's say
Mhm.
that portfolio cost them $200 million to generate on
Mhm.
their own. We would sell it for 190 million or
Mhm.
199. What now we're being like them, right? now we're saying if it's worth 200 million, I will give it to you for 199.99. Oh, that's not good
Mhm.
enough. 180. In other words, we're trying to maximize the profit on this end over here. On the other end, the pro bono end, we're trying to maximize the profit for the end user, so that
Uh-huh.
now somebody living in a third world country could all of a
Mhm.
sudden feed a village.
By the
And when we
way,
start all over the world, we will solve migration, we will solve world hunger, we will solve wars. Because as soon as people can create wealth where they're living at, You don't need wars anymore. You don't need migration. And I'll stop
Mm-hmm.
with that. I'm a little excited.
By the way, there is one thing, 2 years ago, I started a program even in my company, Carlos.
Yeah.
And that program was that if you bring me a client, I will give you 10%.
There,
Do you know from where I got that idea?
no.
Actually, it was from you.
Okay. No, 10% is a good number. As it turns out, it's also a number from like religious things. Like I didn't realize that. And I don't know why that number came to me, the 10% number. But
Mm-hmm.
apparently in like Christianity and Catholicism, etc.,
Mm-hmm.
10% is a tithing number, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea is that, if you get enough of those 10% monetizations, this
Mm-hmm.
baseline monetization that's owned by the entire community gets into
Mm-hmm.
the trillions. And just
Mm-hmm.
imagine when like a community that's conscious, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
look, I know you guys probably share my beliefs with respect to. I
Mm-hmm.
believe in reincarnation. I believe that consciousness survives the body. I
Uh-huh.
proved it to myself. I can't prove it to you. Look, I
Mm-hmm.
don't need trillions. You know, I
Uh-huh.
just need enough money to take care of my family and help other people. But imagine when that baseline monetization is in the trillions, what we could do as humans. We
Mm-hmm.
could literally solve every problem on Earth. I wrote
Uh-huh.
a white paper recently on the open innovation engine at different investment stages, like
Mm-hmm.
10 million, 100 million, 1 billion, 10 billion, and 100 billion. At
Mm-hmm.
$100 billion investment on this engine, we could
Mm-hmm.
have smart cities all over the world. We could solve pretty much all problems on Earth. And the fact that there's people that have that kind of money and don't do it is sort of
Mm-hmm.
sad. To us,
Mm-hmm.
100 billion is like, oh my God, 100 billion, it's nothing. Some people,
Well,
you know,
when it comes to money, money is something which actually generally doesn't excite me. It's
no, me neither.
more about scaling. Like,
Do with
when I am hearing this idea, I'm more like there is a question in my mind that for a single person, for a single family, have you calculated how much will it cost to construct for one single family?
a greenhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah. The beauty of the technology is it's so low tech. It
Uh-huh.
depends how cheap you want to build it. You know, you want to get recycled windows and build it from. I don't know if you guys are familiar with rammed earth.
Mm-hmm.
Rammed earth is where you make a form and you take the dirt and you mix it. Stop it. You mix it with
Uh-huh.
other things and you ram it down and it makes a wall.
Uh-huh.
You know, you know to construct it, the technology is so low tech that it would be
Mm-hmm.
in India. It's actually perfect because you have you have access to manual labor.
Uh-huh.
In India, I would do rammed earth. So
Mm-hmm.
you have no construction materials; they come right from the earth, and it's all labor. You make
Mm-hmm.
forms out of wood. You pack the forms to make the
Mm-hmm.
walls. You recycle. You could even use like water. I've thought about making the glazing just from plastic bottles that are everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
You can make an entire wall of plastic bottles. That's your
Mm-hmm.
glazing. How much does that cost? I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. Not much. How much does mud cost? Not much. How much does labor cost in your part of the area? Not much, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in India, you could build these things like at the lowest scale level. I don't know, probably for a few $100s, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
The fish tank can be a hole in the ground with a liner. You know,
Uh-huh.
the
Yeah,
the the grow beds could be made from concrete, poured
I
hemp.
think yeah, it will be done. Between 500 to $1,000, it will be like all the greenhouse habitat will be done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, and it'll be a mostly a manual labor process using
Yeah.
materials and known techniques. And this is the problem with a lot of people. they try to go to another country and adapt the country to them. Like, oh, I've got modular homes and I'm bringing them to India and you're going to build my modular homes, and
Mhm.
completely disregarding the traditional building methods. What
Mhm.
I want to do is come to India and say, what are your traditional building methods? Let's adapt my technology to your building methods. Let's not adapt your building methods to my technology.
Uh-huh.
That's the key. Same with Africa. You can build houses from dung. Dung
Uh-huh.
houses are actually incredibly beneficial. I know
Mhm.
Sinjay is a PhD. The cow dung that they put on the walls actually repels pests and increases your biome. Like it helps you from a biological point of view. And in the West, you're like, oh my God, they're using cow poop for walls. Stupid.
Mhm.
They just don't understand biology and they don't
Yeah, yeah.
understand traditional building methods.
Mhm.
In India, actually, the using the cow dung was like the cow dung has been used from the ancient times.
Yes,
Still,
yes. And it
still it is in use. Actually, if you saw the villages, the people like they build the walls of the house using mud and then put the cow dung over it.
Yeah,
And
it's beautiful. And people are like in the West, oh my God, I don't know. I want, what I would love to do. I would love to take a traditional cow dung house and make a
Uh-huh.
cow dung greenhouse, and I
Uh-huh.
guarantee you, it would have more benefits than a conventional wood and fucking plaster and conventional Western design. It will be 1,000 times better. We'll probably
Mm.
find things in the cow dung that we don't even know about. Like the mushrooms will probably grow better, the plants will grow better, the people will be happier. So,
Mm.
and this is my challenge to India, by the way. Let's
Mhm.
build something there. I don't know what your audience is, but you want to build one of these for yourself? Let's fucking build it. I'll do it remotely with you. I'll get on webcam. This isn't complex stuff. This is like level 2 technology. There is no reason why
You
somebody that
know
has a little
whom I'm going to put on this? The first person who comes into my mind to build on this, in especially in my house, is my father. He is going to love it. Trust me. He is like he's very passionate about all this.
Well, I will help him. I will help him build it, and then we'll make a business out of it because once he build, if he wants, once he builds the first one, then he has a business building them. Like once you build the first one, you can build a second one, and once you build a second one, you can build a third one, and that's how businesses are born. But if you want to
Mhm.
build it to feed your family, I'm here, and I've got, you know, on Facebook you could go
Mhm.
to my Facebook channel, OU812 Aquaponics, and if you go through the pictures, I've
Mhm.
documented every single thing that I did. Like you go historically forward, you could reproduce what I'm doing in your area with your own stuff.
Mhm.
Like cow dung walls. It's basic stuff. And
Mhm.
I would love to see a project in India. I would love to sell my patent portfolio in India. Anybody that's listening, you get me $2 million, you get 10%. I've said
Mhm.
it. It's on the air, and I'm a person of my word. By the way, I don't. Um, when I tell you something, you can take it to the bank. You know,
Mm.
and if
Yeah.
if somebody that's listening can close this deal, first of all, you'll save my marriage because I'll finally see, wife.
Mhm.
I told you that you had to believe, right? And and then with that $2 million, I could fix up the one in my backyard and start selling them here in Falls Church. I could make a kit, because
Uh-huh.
it takes money to do all the stuff we're talking about, right? To make a MVP, to make kit, it's not just like it's free. I
Mm.
have to
Uh-huh.
experiment. I have to come up with it takes money. A $2 million patent sale in India would now
Mhm.
all of a sudden satisfy that because first of all, I'd recoup my investment, which would make my wife happy, and then
Mhm.
I would have money to fix my greenhouse in the backyard to make it look like something it's supposed to look at. Once I
Mhm.
have
Mm.
that, guess what? I have an MVP. Now I can go to my neighbor and say, "Hey, do you want me to build one like this in your backyard?" Yes, let's build it. Now I have a business.
Uh-huh.
I could take my greenhouse and convert it into a kit, right?
Mhm.
That's another example of low hanging fruit. The lowest hanging fruit is selling schematics, right? $20.
Mhm.
Here's a schematic. Next lowest hanging fruit is schematics plus
Mhm.
kit. Next level is schematics plus kit plus consultation. Next level is schematics plus kit plus consultation plus custom build. It all
Mhm.
works up from the bottom. And those are my plans. I've got to bring the money in, and unfortunately, things don't happen without money. And I wish my engine was already implemented and we were all financially independent, where we
I
wouldn't
have
even have to have.
I have a thing in my mind. I remember you showed me a 3D model, a 3D animation of your dream house habitat.
Oh yeah,
Can we have a look at that?
I don't know if you guys know Spatial. I don't know if you've heard of Spatial. Um, it's
Yeah, 3D model would give an amazing feel right now. By the way, I'm
Yeah.
super pumped with this idea.
By the way,
This is awesome.
Ahmad
Ahmad
sent
is here.
fire.
Hello. Yeah.
Ahmad, you should definitely look at this stream. Out of 100, I recommend this stream 1000%.
damn it. I'm trying to find here. Hold on a second. If I send it to you through WhatsApp, here, hold on a second. We have the tech. It's incredible how difficult it is to share stuff. But I have something called a link tree. I don't know if
Uh-huh.
you guys are familiar with link trees.
Yes, yes, we
But
are.
it's basically a tree of links,
Mhm.
and it has pretty much everything that I'm doing. I
Uh-huh.
told you guys my ideas are protected open source. They're free
Mhm.
for personal and educational use. You want to make
Mhm.
money? Let's talk. Let's make money all around the world on these ideas. But right here, there's if you go to this link tree, and I'm going to go ahead and put it. You guys got a chat here.
Uh-huh.
There's the chat. Okay. And how do I? Where is the? I'm sorry, I'm not used to this interface. Where the hell do I put the chat message?
Um,
Um.
Let me put that. I have this link.
Yeah.
Okay. I
Yeah,
think
don't
I
worry.
but this link tree has like everything you want to know about me, pretty much.
Mhm.
And the what I'm talking about the 3D version
Uh-huh.
is let me where's spatial? I thought it was. I might not have it on here now that I think of it. Oh, here we. Oh, yeah, this is the flyover. Okay, this was a 3D model. Um,
This is a flyover of Dream Habitat's passive solar greenhouse.
should I put the voice or cut the voice out?
You can keep the voice, no problem.
Glazing faces the sun for capturing solar energy. The structure is fully insulated, employing the greenhouse effect to contain all the solar energy that is captured. The greenhouse includes vents on the lower portion, and on the roof portion that automatically open based on temperature to provide natural air ventilation. An evaporative cooling system is provided under the roof to take the hot O2 from the plant chamber and cool and moisten the air for the mushroom chamber. This action flushes the CO2 from the mushroom chamber into the plant chamber to be used by the plants. Entering the greenhouse, we can see the plant chamber, wherein plants clean the nutrient-rich water for the fish pond. A
Uh-huh.
thermal battery or wall is provided inside the greenhouse that acts as a thermal storage of the captured heat or cool energy, passively keeping the greenhouse cool in the summer and warm in the winter. The mushrooms in the mushroom chamber on the other side of the water wall also are provided with water from the fish pond, wherein mushrooms also clean the nutrient-rich water for the fish pond. Further designs include houses, buildings, and skyscrapers based on the greenhouse technology. We have patents pending worldwide and are looking for partners throughout the world for deploying this exciting food security technology.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. Were you guys able to hear did the audio
Yes,
come
yes,
through?
yes.
Because you're
Mhm.
sitting down for a meal, right?
Oops.
Fresh salad, maybe some
What is
fish
this?
grilling on the side, and to top it off, the mushrooms.
She sounds pretty amazing, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
But here's the thing.
this was a deep dive
This
from
isn't your
Notebook
typical
LM.
table. We're talking about an aquaponic system so advanced it can produce all of this off grid.
That's right. We're going deep into a patent today that truly pushes the boundaries of sustainable living. It outlines a system so self-sufficient it could thrive in a desert, the Arctic, maybe even space.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. Patents can be a bit, well, dry, right?
Yeah, they're not exactly known for their thrilling prose.
But trust me on this one. This patent reads like a blueprint for a sustainable future. And to make it even more exciting, we're focusing on the aha moments, the parts that really get you thinking, why didn't I think of that?
It's like peeking behind the curtain of innovation, getting a glimpse into how invention solve big challenges. And believe me, this is a patent with clever solutions.
Okay, so let's dive right in. Imagine a greenhouse, sunlight streaming through. Actually, you know what? The patent goes even further, specifying triple-walled polycarbonate for insulation.
Oh, wow. They really did think of everything.
Right. Talk about attention to detail. But that's what I love about these deep dives. We get to see the level of thought that goes into these inventions.
It's that meticulousness that sets this patent apart.
Absolutely. Now, inside this high-tech greenhouse, we've got ourselves a pretty substantial fish tank, probably a couple of 100 gallons or so.
Big enough to support a decent harvest, I'd imagine.
Exactly. And while I'm picturing tilapia swimming around because, you know, they're pretty adaptable, the patent mentions that the type of fish could be adjusted based on the environment.
Which makes perfect sense, right? You'd want a species that thrives in the specific conditions, whether it's a desert climate or a colder region.
Right. Adaptability is key. So we've got our fish swimming happily, but what about the ponics part of aquaponics? That's where the grow beds come in, right?
Absolutely. Imagine these grow beds encircling the fish tank, all connected in a closed loop. This is where the magic happens. The water from the fish tank, now rich in nutrients, gets pumped up to nourish the plants.
Hold on, pumped up. That's where I stumbled at first, because if we're going completely off grid, traditional electric pumps are out of the question.
Ah, but this inventor had a trick up their sleeve.
Air.
Air, like just plain old air.
You got it. They incorporated something called geyser pumps. Think of those toy rockets you pump up, same concept. Air pressure is used to push that water upwards.
So no electricity guzzling pumps, just good old-fashioned air pressure moving hundreds of gallons of water.
Exactly. Elegant in its simplicity, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely brilliant. And once the water reaches the top, gravity takes over, naturally bringing it back down to the fish tank, creating this beautifully efficient cycle.
It's like they've taken inspiration from nature itself, harnessing natural forces to create a truly self-sustaining system. And that's just the water flow. This patent goes even deeper, talking about something called N-way redundancy. At first, I thought, oh boy, here comes the technical jargon.
It does sound a bit intimidating, right? But it's actually a pretty straightforward concept, especially in this context.
Okay, so break it down for me. What does it actually mean?
Well, think of it this way. Remember those old Nokia phones? The ones that could survive practically anything.
Yeah, these things were indestructible.
Exactly.
That's
This
true.
aquaponics, it's built with that same
They are
quality. Every
Nokia Captain America shield is less stronger than Nokia's phone.
right, just keep coming along.
Like,
So it's like-
But I can. Is you're interested? Should I-
in Avengers Endgame, even
For
Captain
example.
even Captain America's shield broke, but Nokia phones never.
Yeah, Nokia. I've lectured in Finland, and I actually I've worked with a lot of Nokia. Some of my clients are Nokia startups. You know that once they left Nokia, they created startups, and they told me something that was interesting. They said the president of Nokia said something at this big gathering. He said innovation happens elsewhere. And what he was referring to is that when companies get really, really big, they stop innovating. They get into their own rhythm of what they're doing and they don't innovate anymore. So what he was saying is innovation actually happens from people in their garage like me, an Indian person that's trying to figure out how to create electricity, an electric motor or whatever. It doesn't, I don't want to say corporations aren't innovating, but oftentimes a lot of the innovations come from both the little people, So anyways, that video it automatically. I didn't mean to play it, but that was done with Notebook LM. I don't know if you're familiar with Notebook LM. It's a Google product.
Uh, yeah,
You,
I'm
you
actually
upload,
familiar with Notebook LM.
yeah, I uploaded my patent, right? And I said do a deep dive on it, and it generated that audio stream. And then what I did is I took the audio stream plus Mid Journey plus images from my patents and my greenhouse and
Uh-huh.
edited it into a movie that is kind of like an explainer video. The problem that I
Mhm.
have is you can see I've got 952 subscribers, so I have zero reach.
Mhm.
Like this meeting here is probably the most reach I'm ever going to get. Literally, because first of all, I don't do videos on a standard
Oh, no, no, no,
schedule,
no, no,
which
no, 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 no. You are not getting off that easily. So here what I have in my mind. Okay. So I'm going to get on the spicy stuff now. So Carlos, maybe after this stream will not be called X growth, but this stream will be called Era on Air. As you know, Era is my AI model, and we are trying to create a show here where we should not be the host, but the AI should be the host. First AI hosted talk show. That is what I am keeping in my mind. We are trying our best to make it as soon as possible happen. And when it comes to innovation, so what I want to actually do in this, I don't want to make it another talk show. I want to be a innovator think tank. I want to it's not about just who are people working, even people who have ideas but they don't know how to execute it. I want those people to come here, connect with us. Maybe we can have, and I'm not trying to create a think tank or a group. I'm trying to create a family. And
and, as a patent attorney, you're probably not going to like me on your streams. And the reason is that, I've been to these clubhouse rooms for venture capitalists and I've been banned from them. And the reason is I tell people, you realize when you're discussing your invention in front of the entire world, you're giving it away.
yeah.
So, like everything I've talked about during this broadcast has all been protected, right?
Hmm.
So so for people that really have something like an invention, you would
Hmm.
do them a disservice if you had them come in and talk about it publicly. Now, if they want to
Hmm.
learn about general questions about innovation protection, et cetera,
Hmm.
that's fine. But you want, this is for your own, well, for the protection of your audience. You
Uh-huh.
want to make sure you do a disclaimer that you say, look, anything that you disclose confidential information on this channel, you are giving away to the world. And as
Yes.
long as the person understands that and agrees to that, then it's not a problem, right?
Yeah.
So, and I'm sorry to bring that up, but
So
I
there are people who get a lot of trouble when it comes to even patenting stuff. I know like hundreds of people. They are worried about, how much does it cost to you patent it in US, how much does it cost to patent it worldwide, how whom am I going to contact. And since the thing is we are planning to bring a lot of people, those people on these streams, we are definitely going to need our patent expert and our engineer, first engineer and then a lawyer expert on the panel.
yeah, if you want to show the link tree real quick, talking
Yes.
about what you just um, on my screen,
Hmm.
that link tree that I sent out, it's broken
Hmm.
up into the first part is about sustainability, the second part is about the open innovation engine, and the last part is about intellectual property education.
Hmm.
And I've actually got a course online. It's not monetized. There's an access code there, or you can just watch the video. So you can either watch the video on your own, or you could take it as a course. The only
Oh.
difference is with the course, I make you watch 15 minutes and then I ask you questions, and
Hmm.
give you quiz to see whether you learn the material. But every one
Hmm.
of these, there's 3 courses. they're all online on YouTube right now. And the first course, uh, let me go back here a little bit. The first course is basically, I call it IP 101. What's a patent? What's a trademark? What's a copyright? How much does it cost? When do you patent? When do you search? These are basic questions that I get asked a million times. Uh, the second course, patent analysis and strategy, talks about if somebody comes to you with a patent and says, "Give me money," do you automatically hand them your wallet? Do you go running to a patent attorney? Well, this second one sort of teaches you how to kick the tires on a patent so that way you're a little bit smarter about handing over your wallet to somebody that says, "Hey, I've got a patent, give me your money," right? And finally, the last one, patent application drafting workshop, is a workshop that I gave that teaches inventors how to prepare patent applications to minimize my time, because my time is the most expensive part of a patent application. Like, Harsh, you give me a perfect patent application and you're going to be paying the least amount as you can possibly pay for a patent. You give me, I have to work with you 10, 15, 20 hours. You're going to be paying the most you possibly can for, not the most, next to the most. You tell me, Carlos, you do everything. Now you're paying the most you can possibly pay for a patent application. So if I do everything, that's the most expensive way. Second least expensive, most expensive way is that we work together. The third way is you're a master at it and you're giving me stuff that's ready to file that requires very little of my time. And the goal, the way I teach innovation, is to get you to that third stage where where you know enough about writing patent applications that you say, "Hey, Carlos, spend a half an hour looking at this, give me some tips, but then file it." And I've done that with startups, and that's how I've gotten, unfortunately, my successes are few and far between. It's not my fault, but I've had startups where I trained them in patent drafting. And because of that, they were able to develop a portfolio way cheaper than their competitors. And they got the exit that they wanted, which was getting bought by a corporation. Unfortunately, that's only happened a few times in my whole career as a patent attorney. But usually it's because of the business and the marketing. That's where startups fail, is on business and marketing. And by the way, that's the most expensive part of the process. People think that the patents are the most expensive. Not true. Patents are about 10% of your spend, right? If you've got a startup and you're spending X, 0.1x is IP, marketing is probably 0.4 to 0.5x. And then the rest is operations and stuff like that. So, and remember, IP is an asset. It's not a liability. And a lot of people don't understand that IP is an asset to the company. It's not a debit. It's an asset that can be used to bring in money, etc. But yeah, these courses are open to the world. They're all open source, but of course my reach is 900 people. So if you guys can expand the reach, because remember, this is the secret sauce of the open innovation engine. The secret, not so secret sauce. The secret sauce is that I want to teach everybody within the engine how to write patents, so that now we file thousands and thousands of patents very cost effectively. That's the secret sauce. Because once we can file massive portfolios super cost effectively, now we can start creating huge monetization events that will make our community very, very quickly become self-sufficient, where now we don't need investors. We're self-funded. And we bring in startups, bring inventors, we incubate, we fund, and we solve problems all over the earth. That is the goal.
So, Sanjay, I have a job for you. Sanjay is probably in that circle where people are going to need that kind of service. Sanjay, I don't care how you are getting their attention. Just grab them to this stream. If you have to be the Hitler, be the Hitler, but do it. What I am going to do, like, that is the obvious for me. Everybody who knows me, you are going to watch. You have no option. You have to watch it. And if you have any suggestions, if you need any help, if you need to file a patent, you know who is your man.
Carlos is a man. Awesome.
He's the man, and Athena is the boss. Where is Athena?
Listen, guys, I got to get going. I still have to do what I call my work, and that's that's
Definitely,
the work
Carlos.
that keeps the lights
Yeah.
on. But I appreciate you guys very, very much. I've had a blast. I hope I wasn't too over the top with my
You're very much
enthusiasm.
welcome here.
And we enjoyed and we learned a lot. And
And probably in future, all the streams we are going to do, Carlos, which we think that somebody is coming up with a good innovation, which is new, which can be patentable. I am going to pin you in advance to be on that panel.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I've also done something that's interesting. I did these things called patentathons. You've heard of hackathons?
Yeah,
Have you heard of a hackathon?
yes.
yeah.
Right, where people get together and they solve a problem in real time. I've
Mhm.
actually done patentathons where I invite the whole world, and in real time, we develop the drawings, we describe the drawings, and we file the patent by the time the webinar is over. And I mean, they go for we did one, it was 6 hours from start to finish. We started at T0 by T equals 6 hours. We had a
Mhm.
US patent application pending. We filed a provisional. And the
Mhm.
beauty of that is that, I can open it to the world because by the time they're able to file it, they're not going to beat me. They would have to literally like be feverishly working to try to copy what I'm doing right then and file it before I do. And we would have a webinar showing that, that they were on the stream through their IP address and that they copied us, which means their patent would be invalid. So even if they copied us, it wouldn't matter. But
Mhm.
that's the goal, is to start having, patentathons with people from all over the world, putting all the IP into like this bucket, and then
Mhm.
having people buy the IP and generate wealth for our community. So for that, and AI, by the way, is going to be a huge part. I'll send you the link separately, Harsh, on that white
Mhm.
paper um,
I
on,
am, the reason I didn't talk about AI in this stream, and the only reason is I am being greedy. I have something good in my mind, but I'm not going to speak about it in this stream, not
no,
in public.
I'm not going to, and I've been like this with you the whole time, right? I like what I'm the protect. Some people call me Carlos the protector, and it's
Mhm.
because I protect your innovations, and I'm not going to let you blurt out your idea and it turns out to be a very valuable idea that now you've given to the entire world inadvertently. Now, if you want to give it advertent, if you want to do it, not a problem. You want to give away your ideas, not a problem. Um, but I try to help people to make sure they do it, because they want to, not not by accident. But
Mhm.
very, very awesome. I have Crisp Audio. I don't know if you know Crisp AI. So I should have mentioned at the beginning. So this is recorded anyways. Duh.
I,
But I
I
have
I will
Crisp
send you the
AI.
link, Carlos. No, don't
No, no,
worry.
no. I just want to say that my AI here is transcribing the entire meeting, and then what I can do is run it through GPT and generate extract all the technical information from this meeting. And
Mhm.
by the way, that's how I've been doing patent drafting. I've been using AI for patent drafting, and it's made the process way more efficient. For
Mhm.
example, if I was working with Sanjay, I'd say, let's have a meeting. It gets recorded by Crisp. I take the transcript, put it into GPT. I have the
Mhm.
GPT extract all the technical information from our meeting. Then I tell Sanjay, let's develop the drawings. We develop the drawings. I feed it into the GPT and it describes everything for us. Then I say, let's write the claims. I have the GPT do the first stab at it. It's not very good at claim drafting yet. polish the claims. Now we got drawings, description of the drawings, claims. We file it, and that's as efficient as I can possibly get. And the GPT has increased my efficiency by around 50%.
Mhm.
So now I'm even more affordable than I was before. So thanks to technology. And anyways,
So with that, guys, we are actually about to wrap up the stream. But whoever was active on the comments, like I know a lot of people are watching, but a lot of people are not commenting. That is not good. I need your comments because that's how we feel appreciated. Okay. Otherwise, anyway, if you are, even if you guys are not going to motivate us, we are still going to do this. We are very rigid in that way, and we are also persistent. So the people who have commented on us, Ahmad, Abhinav, you guys are going to have your banner tomorrow, like we did before. Remember, Yash? And
Yes, I remember.
but anyway, whoever is watching, thanks for watching us. And if you need patent, if you need your patent done, or if you need a buddy, like I don't see Carlos like I since the very beginning. I the one thing I like about Carlos never treated me as a client or another person, but he treated me as a friend, and he tried to teach me how to write patents, which actually became very useful in my life. Another thing is I have implemented a lot of ideas from him. So we learn from people who are innovators, and let's connect with one more innovator today. Thank you, Carlos, for being here. I'm
my
I'm
pleasure,
actually glad. So
guys.
with the this was my closing thoughts. Over to you, Yash.
Yes, my closing thought is first of all, like, share, retweet, and share everywhere you can to your family members, to that IT guy, and to everyone, every innovator in your neighborhood who want to do something, and reach out to Carlos on X Facebook group, join his Facebook group and community. And I like both ideas, the innovator community, the open innovations, and where everyone can be a billionaire. And second idea is like building a self-sustained habitat where like you can be it's sustainable, it's secure, and it's a long-term thing, and then you can achieve a mental state where you can work on actual innovations. So that was my closing
Before,
thoughts.
before moving to Sanjay, I will say, one person, I have a brother, he is running his own startup named TrackNerd. I'm going to mention him today. He is very interested in sustainability. And trust me,
Nice.
when he is going to, like right now, he's flying. That is why he is not able to watch the stream. Or maybe I actually don't know what he's doing, but he's definitely not online right now. But he is going to love the stream. Over to you, Sanjay.
So, Carlos, it's been an incredible discussion, and thank you so much for sharing your expertise on patent and technology with us. I really learned a lot from you today. And yeah, for the viewers who are watching this, you're also going to learn. You're going to learn a lot of things. If not, watch it again and again. Don't worry
Yeah,
about
it's
that.
recorded. It's recorded. You
Yeah.
can pause anytime,
So,
waking up in your
yeah,
bathroom,
that's what I'm
before
saying for
sleeping,
the
going to
viewers.
bed, whenever you want.
Look, well,
And
like viewers can watch it. If they miss something, they can watch it again. Like there is no restriction on that. Keep watching it.
yeah,
Keep commenting. If you have any doubts, if you want to learn more about it, you know whom to reach out.
right.
And even if you reach out to us, we are going to redirect you to Carlos, because when it
Sure.
comes to file a patent, we don't know anything about it. But
I
as
just want
you
to mention. I want to
as
mention that I could like for you, Harsh, since I love you as a brother. Um, maybe perhaps we could do one of the lectures, personalized for your audience. In other words, you notice there's a three different. There's the basics IP 101. There's analyzing patents, and then there's drafting patents. Each one could be a segment that would be for your audience, and you could invite members of your audience to come in and ask me questions during that segment. And basically, you guys would be getting one of the lectures that I give in Finland. I've lectured on this in Scandinavia, and I'd be glad to do that for you, Harsh, and your viewers. So I'll put that offer out there. If you ever want to do a segment on one of those 3 videos, I recommend doing them in order. They are sequential. The first one is like 101, the second one is like 201, and the third one's like 301 level, of knowledge.
Mhm.
And in those segments, you want to invite innovators, people that are looking to potentially protect their ideas, and then that way they could ask me questions about what of course, general questions. I wouldn't want them to disclose any confidential stuff, but I just throw that out there for you, Harsh.
Yeah, I love that. Bring it on, and something tells me within me that this will is going to be the first time in my life where I'm going to love a lecture. And another thing is, as you guys all know, that we save the best thing for the last. So, Carlos, your closing thoughts, and one request: please introduce Athena on the stream.
Okay. Okay. So my closing thoughts are: this was fun. As you guys can probably tell, I've talked about this. When I lecture in Scandinavia, like every lecture is different because I don't have an agenda. Like when I do the lecture for you guys on one of those topics, it's going to be a one of a kind. I mean, it's going to have reproducible stuff, but it's not scripted. It's just me talking
Yeah.
about what I know. Come up here, Papa. Come up here. This is my beautiful Belgian Malinois, Athena, and she's been bugging me for the past 15 minutes because she probably has to go to the bathroom. And she gets very jealous talk, and it's not her. So
Uh-huh.
she's been prodding at me. That's part of the reason I need to go. She's like, "Come on, you've already talked for 2 hours. Take me outside." And she hasn't eaten yet, so she's also hungry because it is around her meal time. But she's a
Okay.
beautiful old, and she's crazy. This dog is.
No, I have 5 dogs living in my building, and like those are still kids. Like those are probably 4 months old right now, and we have created a shed for them. Maybe in our further streams, I can share that. But for that, I have to like go down, and
Yeah.
like one of them, the favorite one I have, I will speak about him, Scooby. Scooby is a black dog. Okay, and whenever he sees me, he cannot resist. Like he wants to play with me, he wants to jump on me, and sometimes he wants to get into my home to sleep with me.
Well, she thinks she's a lap dog, and she weighs 50 pounds. So she jumps up like 5 feet in the air. She's very, very athletic.
You have no idea that how much I am like how much I want to cuddle Athena right now. I would love to take Athena on my lap and also give her a walk.
Well, if you're ever in the Washington D.C. area, we'll do that. Harsh, you're invited, and I'll show you. I'll give you a personal tour of my greenhouse.
Maybe I
And
will not come to US for you, but for Athena, I will definitely.
that is fine. Well, so my closing thoughts are, thank you for this opportunity. And let's save the world. Let's collaborate. Let's innovate, collaborate, and share, and create wealth for our children's children. And I'll close with that.
Definitely, Carlos. So with that, guys, we are about to end the stream. So we are ending the stream in 5.